All right. In three, two, one.
You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast on Digital Stream Radio.
Let's talk about nervous energy, what it is, how your body responds, and what you can do to get yourself back to equilibrium. Stick around.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candice. Now let's start the show.
Hey.
What up? Happy
How are you?
Thursday. How are you,
Oh,
Miss Candice?
I'm so good. I'm so happy to be here. It's a good day.
Likewise, agreed. It's a gorgeous day, and although it's gonna rain a little bit, and I'm a little bummed about that, but we need the rain. It hasn't rained in a couple of days, and so that's good for the grass.
I know. It's good. It's good for the world. I think our whole setup, our whole country needs a little bit of water. So um,
Mm-hmm.
I
Everything is
am not going to
burning.
groan. I will not begrudge the rain because we definitely need it. I will say, and we always do this, start off talking about like the weather, but I will say this is the first time I'm realizing that when we start the show, it's already dark outside. All summer we've been
Right.
starting the show with the sun like stabbing me in the eye, and now already 7:30. So I'm getting ready for the fall, for the change in the season and the time. Like I still don't like fallback daylight savings, but it was so hot this summer. I am never going to complain about the cold. I have already been putting on my cozy Costco situations, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I can agree that daylight savings time or falling back is a drag. I wish they would abolish it and leave us at the current time that we're in,
Mhm.
because that means that at least we would still have until like even in the latest or the shortest of months, we would still have to at least 5:30
Right.
and
Right.
have some sort of twilight out there. But the problem is that as much as we want that light on the other end of the spectrum, the problem becomes that for kids going to school, the morning side a lot darker if we don't fall back.
It's true.
And
It's
so
true.
that's basically the issue. So I have a suspicion that if they decide to abolish daylight savings time, they most likely will leave us on standard time.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, number one, everybody's at home anyway. People don't like it, but people aren't going to school. And number two, I, for a season, for a semester, did school abroad in January in Spain. And I remember going to school when it was still dark outside, and it was really weird, but you just get used to it. I think because it seems weird and we've never had to do it, like it seems weird, but if it becomes a
Right.
part of your, like, they don't know any better. The kids there don't know any better. It just
Right.
is what it is. It's dark in the morning, and so what? You have to go to school anyway. I will say it was difficult to get out of bed when the sun wasn't up, but it still is difficult to get out of
Agreed.
bed. when the sun doesn't isn't up.
Agreed.
So,
Because like
um,
literally a month ago, the sun was
give
out
me,
when we were getting up.
give me a second. You can't come on screen with no clothes on. What's happening? This is Lincoln has something to say. What's up?
Welcome to the Breezy Moms podcast. It's a live situation, so things happen,
Mm,
and
Listen,
it is what
listen,
it is.
your father is downstairs. Kindly ask your father for anything that you need. Go ahead. We're on the show. You can't be on Facebook with your boobs out. Let's go. Thank you.
Off you go.
Listen to
Thank
my
you.
life. Okay. First of all, my kids refuse to wear any clothes in the house if they don't have to. So they're walking around here half naked. Secondly, why would he come up 3 flights of stairs to ask me for Ritz crackers on show night? Like I just don't even
Well,
like where's your
daddy
father?
needs to.
Where's your father?
Da-
It's
daddy
okay.
needs
It's
to
okay.
handle that.
Mom so hard, okay? Mom so hard. All right, well, let's just jump right in. Don't what are
Let's
you
jump
drinking?
right in.
I am back to I think these are shock tops. I'm really excited.
I am having a vodka something situation,
Mm.
um, and it's delicious. And so I'm making the best of it, right? Because I haven't had a drink since Monday, right? That's when we do our show and we get together and we'll have drinks and shots or whatever and then start speaking cursive all over the podcast. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do. Well, I don't have any Trulies or anything. So I ran out of all of that and I refused to go out anywhere today. And so
Well,
the only thing I had was vodka and ginger ale.
you just make it work. You make it work. Well, let's talk about the
So
boys because I heard you ran into James at Costco, his new favorite
I
place.
did. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you about that. I did run into your husband at Costco. He was coming in, I was coming out. And speaking of Costco, we'll get to James in a minute. There seems to be a paper towel shortage now. Like before it was toilet paper, now it's paper towels. So you walk into Costco, and I've never had an issue walking in and grabbing what I need and then on my way. They had but one brand of toilet paper, no Costco brand toilet paper, and no paper towels of any kind.
Wow. So,
And I'm like,
so
what?
what that
What?
means is that there's like a simmer happening. Somebody knows something that everybody else doesn't know.
Mm.
But also,
I'm like,
everybody's having to do extra. If your business is open, if your school is open, your day, especially your daycare, people are really using, having to clean up a lot more than usual.
right.
And so maybe that's really what's happening
I
here.
don't know. It's like I have
And
one
also,
roll of
they're
paper
cleaning
towels
up.
left.
See, I don't really use paper towels. We go several weeks in here without any paper towels, and I only have some backup ones that I keep when certain people come to visit. So, like my mother-in-law is not into paper towels. She's like I mean, she's not into reusable rags. She's like, I grew up
Right.
in Africa. I'm from Ghana. We've been using reusable. I came to America to use like throwaway paper. I was like, what? It doesn't make any sense. And my
Live
mom
your
said
best life, girl.
they are living their best life. So we have our special paper towel rolls for when they come over because they want to live their American life of like use what you want and throw it away.
I do both. Like, like I have my reusable rags, but I keep them in their spaces, right? Like I have one downstairs for the sink downstairs, one in the sink upstairs, and then maybe one to wipe the tables off outside. But as far as the bathrooms go, I paper towel everything. Bleach, paper towel, and then trash.
Nope, we have reusable stuff. Okay, so paper towel. So the point of that was
James.
Well, James is always a point, but they're running low on paper towels, and which means that maybe something's happening. And I heard that numbers are creeping. They're creeping a little bit. I heard a couple schools closed in Hartford, Bridgeport, Waterbury have had a few COVID positive cases, and so they've closed down schools. And
Right.
our schools are closed. Our most of our schools are closed, and I just heard closed. I mean, full distance learning, and I just heard that one of our charter schools are opening up a hybrid model in the next couple weeks, maybe.
Right.
And so I'm waiting to see if the rest of the district is also going to do the same thing.
I've been reading a lot of nonsense on Facebook, and one story that I read, which I don't know how true it is, but you're in that point in time of the day that you're mentally exhausted, and so you just go on social media to sort of kind of read crap.
Yep.
And one of the stories that came up was a parent who knew that their child was COVID positive and sent them into school anyway, and ended up
or gave them the test but sent them to school while they were waiting for the results.
See, I read a whole completely different analogy of that story.
Maybe it's a different person, but go ahead.
Maybe it's not because it's Facebook, so you get many different versions, and so
either way, it sucks.
Right, and so she sent the child into school anyway, and now this child has caused the entire classroom to be over 30 students to be quarantined because he was COVID positive. Again, don't shoot the messenger. It was stuff that I was reading on Facebook, which you very well know you should not take at face value what you read on the Facebook or the Twitter or the Insta or any of those places. And so, it was just one of those things that sort of kind of passed my brain while I was scrolling and stuff. And
I mean, I know it's tough, and I know that people are
Right.
still trying to figure out how to work and do distance learning, or like they need to send their kids to school. I like
Hmm.
what one of Lincoln's teachers. So today he went to the what we call farm school. So it's a program here called Nature Year. And when we got there, she said hi to me, but when he got out of the car, she sort of directed her questions to Lincoln directly. She was like, "Hey,
Right.
how did you sleep last night? Did you wake up in the middle of the night with a fever? Were you coughing? How are you feeling?" Like, I thought it was a really great way because to like get the truth, because kids will always tell you the truth. Oh yeah, I threw up in the
Hmm.
middle of the night. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
before the parent even has a chance to like make up an answer, like come up with a lie, the kid
Oh,
is
no,
like,
no.
"Yeah, I was throwing up."
I threw my guts out, and mom just,
Exactly.
gave me some Pepto Bismol and threw me in bed.
Exactly. Oh yeah, mom, I took some Tylenol this morning while I was in the car. You know what I mean? But the schools that are taking kids, this program and other places are being really as good as they can be, right? To
Right.
try and make sure that they're screening kids at the door. The only thing this school is not doing that I wonder why they're not doing is they're not taking temperatures. Even our pod, our distance learning pod, when we get to the door, she's taking the digital temperature with the thing that you like, the infrared situation,
Right.
so that she knows, right there at the moment if you have a fever, like no playing around.
Be like, listen, Linda.
But yeah, and she's marking it, she's like writing it down in our pod. But this other program, is outdoors, so they have a little more leeway, I think, because or they feel like because they're outside and, open air and that kind of thing. But he really is enjoying this program. It's only day 2, but he's really happy. When I picked him up, he looked exhausted, but of course he got a second wind. It's really nice.
Wait, Candice, wait.
Oh,
I have a question for you.
yeah.
How are your boys?
Oh, that's what we were talking about. We're talking about the boys.
Continue.
Okay, good.
We completely forgot the whole thing.
We forgot the whole thing.
Okay,
So,
good.
so the boys are good. Like he's really enjoying this program. I'm so glad that I was able to get him into it this year. And it also means that on Thursdays he gets out of school a little bit early, so I go and pick him up, and then we have about 2 hours before we have to go and get Emery. So I'm trying to make it like a Lincoln and mom time, like a date that we have set. And so today I asked him what last week. This is the thing. Sometimes as a parent, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this whole thing and I'm going to make, it's going to be so cool. And you
Right.
put so much into it. And then the kid is like, right. And then you're just like devastated. Like, I thought this was going to be great. And then my attitude changes. Well, if you don't want to hang out with me, I'm like, he's 6. What is wrong with you?
Mm,
So anyway, today I tried to be a little more relaxed, and I tried to be very clear with him when I picked him up. I was like, "Hey, we have a couple hours before we go pick up Emery. Is there something you want to do? I thought we could hang out, right?" And he
right.
goes, "Oh, let's go to McDonald's," right? So we went to McDonald's, and then he asked to go to this place that we call the Secret Garden, which is a park in town that I think I've talked about it before. It's in the middle of this neighborhood, and there's a big brick wall around it all the way around.
It's one of my
So
favorite books, by the way.
right. So, and he doesn't even know what the Secret Garden is. Like, he doesn't even know that book. But anyway, so it's a really cute little place. I mean, it's a big park, but it's a really fun place. And the last time we were there, he noticed this tree that had all of, it's just like a big old tree with all these cool low branches. So he's been wanting to go back there so that he can climb the tree. So we went to the Secret Garden. He had our McDonald's, climbed the tree. We took some photos, and then we met a cool mom and her kids who were also playing out there. And so I think it actually went really well. And I think that's because I took down some of the pressure. Like I took some of the pressure off of me, pressure off of him. We'll just hang out.
Right.
It'll be different next week, maybe not, but it's not supposed to be like well, let's have a good time. You know what I mean?
Well, I hope you got Lincoln some McDonald's excuse me, Emery some McDonald's, because if he finds out,
Oh no, we didn't. And so we were in the car talking about like trying to figure out how we're going to manage this, right? Like this is
mm,
our special time. We threw away all the McDonald's before we went to pick him up. The problem is that there's a toy. But thankfully, Emery is young enough that he didn't quite, because he didn't see the food, he didn't quite put together that we must have gotten the food in order to get the toy.
Right.
So it's okay. But we were in the car and Lincoln was gonna about to tell a story about when we were at the park. And he goes, because when we were, never mind.
Oh, so he caught
He
himself,
caught himself.
so he's understanding the ramifications of announcing that that mom and I are having this special time, because he knows that that's going to impact his little brother. That's so cute.
Yes, he's wonderful. He really,
It's
really
cute
is.
and deception, and like it's cute and it's also very deceptive in a way. Like,
But still,
I can't tell you this,
but
like,
but he didn't do that. I don't think it was deceptive. I think it was more protective, right? Because
right.
he didn't say, I can't tell you what we did today, right? He just caught himself and he stopped talking. He didn't say, oh, I can't tell you, right? And so I, you know, we all have to manage a little bit of deception anyway. Might as well start at 6.
Right. And God, I pray that, Emery doesn't like decide to like go to your phone and start listening to the episode.
I know, but I really think it's really important to me to use it's just 2 hours. It's like 2.5 hours, but really two, because we should pick up Emery. But I really was feeling over the last couple of weeks that I should make use like a concerted effort to use these 2 hours to focus on Lincoln, because he's the oldest, right? And all of
Right.
our attention gets put on Emery because he's the baby, right? Quote unquote, the baby. And a lot of time, he's just, so sometimes I feel like we're leaving Lincoln out, or I'm leaving Lincoln out. And so to be able to give him this special time between us, I think is making me happy. And I'm guessing that it's also making him happy. And over
Well,
the course of the year, it'll be every Thursday. So over the
well,
course,
that also, gives you an opportunity to, as a mother, dedicate quality time to both, right? Because that's what it's all about. It's making them feel that they're important, because once their teen years come, it's like you're their least favorite person. But if you start instilling in them now, the fact that they can come to you for quality time
Mhm,
or for a conversation about anything and have it be open with no judgment,
mhm,
then I think that as they grow older, even though they're going to go through their teen years, and some days you'll be their best friend, some days they'll hate you or dad,
mhm.
um, they still know that in the end, if they need anything, they can always come to either of you.
Exactly, exactly. That's the goal. That's the goal. We'll see. We'll see. Let's fingers
Interesting.
crossed. Fingers crossed. Um,
And how's my little man?
so Emery is good. Emery is always good. I've been enjoying listening to him lately. He's just blossoming, right? He's four in a couple months, but he just says some things lately that I'm just like, oh, you're not really a baby anymore.
Mm.
He said to me yesterday, I think I sprayed him with some bug spray, and he goes, "Mom, this smells horrible." It was just like, it
And
was
kids don't lie. They're very
they
honest,
don't lie,
right?
but just the choice words, right? Like usually when you're a kid, they go, "Ew, this smells bad, yuck, ugh," you know what I mean? But he was like, "This smells horrible." I was just like, "You're such an old man." And then he came running in yesterday, and he goes, "Mom, I don't have any time for playing. I have to poop." It's just like,
Proud of him. At least he can identify that he has to. He's
of
not doing
course.
the pull-ups anymore, right?
Just at night for bed, but it's just the like choice words and the like it's just his way of describing things
Right.
that is just amazing to listen to and watch him grow with. So I'm really enjoying him. And then James is good. James is here. We're still working in the house, but now it's actually kind of cool because the kids go to like distance learning pod, and so he's working upstairs, I'm working in my office, we meet in the kitchen, we like our water cooler time is in the kitchen. And it feels a lot different from a couple months ago when he was like quote working upstairs and I was stuck downstairs with the kids, you know what I mean? And
Right.
words matter, but that's how it felt. So it definitely feels a little bit different now, and I enjoy our water cooler moments in the kitchen. And then I'm like, all right, I gotta go. I got stuff to do.
Peace out. I gotta go produce.
Exactly.
That's awesome, though. That's
It's
awesome.
going, it's going pretty well. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Mom was here yesterday
Mm-hmm.
because we've been playing bingo every Friday.
Mm.
Just a very small group of people because they miss bingo. And so I allowed her and her friends to come and use my patio to play bingo outdoors. And so for the past 4 weeks, we've been doing that.
Wow.
And I put up a nice little TV screen so when you call the numbers, they can see the numbers really big and they're able to play along. And I ordered like these cards on Amazon that you can like use the dauber and stamp. And then once you're done with that game, you rip the top one off and there's a new card under it.
That's great.
And so we've been doing that, but now it's been getting chilly.
Yeah.
And so she knows that I have that back outdoor like porch area,
Mm-hmm.
the 3-season porch. And she's like, well, I'm not ready to give this up. Can we play in there? And I'm like, well, if you come and clean it,
Yeah.
we can play in there. Because I had a lot of stuff that was stuffed in there, like, you know, round saws and things that I was using to build my fence and to do some fixes outside. I had everything shoved in there. And she's like, fine, I'll come over Wednesday. And so she did. And so one of the first things I said to her in the beginning is like, Ma, I work from home. And I know that you're going to have questions, but you're going to need to refrain from coming into my office and asking me because I have a very long conference call almost all day long tomorrow. So it was almost like a 6-hour conference call, which is insane to begin with.
That sounds insane.
And so sure enough, she completely forgot that I was
Working.
on a conference call, which wasn't an audio conference call. It was a video one. So I had to sort of kind of run into the other room and put on a nice little shirt. And so I was like, poom poom shorts.
Oh my God.
And a nice little dressy short. And of course, she just pops right in and I'm like, hey, I have a question. And I'm just like,
I'm working.
and she looks at the screen and sees all these people and she just like books.
That's great. That's great.
So it was almost that moment, like you remember when that father was on an interview and the kids came in and then all of a sudden like the nanny was coming in and like yanking them and literally dragging them out of the room.
It was the mom.
Was it the mom?
Yes, it was. Everybody thought it was the nanny because it was a white guy and an Asian woman.
I was like, listen, yeah, I'm horrible. See, bad Tommy. But it was funny. And I said to her, I said, Ma, I know that, see, this is why I don't let you come here when I'm working because you can only come here after my shift is done because you ask questions and you don't have boundaries. And so she just walks in, right? She's a mom. And I can't stop what I'm doing to take care of your questions or for you to find out where the coffee is. There's open all the drawers, find it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that was pretty much that experience. And
but everybody's getting used to. Everybody should be right.
Right.
Work people should be used to like, dude, I'm at home, and for you, you're usually home by yourself. But still, I'm at home in the middle of a pandemic. You don't know what's going on here.
Right.
You don't know who's like handling the waiting out the pandemic, living with me, or you know what I mean. Like the same thing with James and the kids. I was like, dude, we just can't keep them away forever. The people at work need to know that you were in the house with children just like everybody else, right? Like,
right.
This is just how it is. So they'll
and,
all right.
And the funny thing is, right, it's like I'm working on this project because we created for the month of Pride, I don't know if I told you, for the month of June, we created a Pride at our company, a Pride committee, and I was elected as their communications coordinator. And we have, our president of the committee and all of the other officials. Then we sort of kind of meet every week to talk about things that we can do to promote pride and equality in the workforce. And so I came up with the idea of doing a video for National Coming Out Day, which is October 11th.
Wow.
So it's in a couple of weeks, and 3 weeks to be exact. And so we needed a corporate sponsor. We needed, someone in leadership to come in and give us a couple of words. So I was tasked with reaching out to the leadership team and finding out which one of them was going to be the one that was coming on. And so I had that meeting this morning, and what the requirements were. I sent them the script of what I wanted it to do. I've been working on the video on and off, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, we get hit with a whole shitload of people who want to have their picture in this video to either support be an ally or someone who's out in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a wonderful, rewarding experience to see that. But one of the conversations that we had with one of the individuals was like, well, what should I wear? And I'm like, listen, it's a video, and the focus of the video is for National Coming Out Day. We
So,
understand we're in
so
quarantine, and you don't have to sit here and wear a tuxedo
mm-hmm.
or a suit. Be business casual. And it's okay. We know we're all home. We're doing, nothing is going to look like it does when you're in the building and everyone's recording. It's a whole different experience. So I'm okay if you come on in a nice little comfortable hoodie, as long as it doesn't have an insignia on it
Mm.
and it's not black or red
Okay.
or stripes, because that looks horrible.
Uh-huh.
You can wear whatever you want and be comfortable and be truthful and just, be as relaxed and comfortable as you can, because that's what I want the video to convey. The
Mm.
fact that in the midst of all this pandemic, we're finding ways of continuing to be inclusive in the workforce, or to promote inclusivity for all of us that work there. And it's been quite an amazing experience nonetheless.
That's great.
But I have deadlines,
Mm-hmm.
which means I have a lot of late nights of working and editing video and making sure that things get done. But it's been a fun, rewarding process,
That's awesome.
to say the least.
I know about editing video, so
Yes.
it's like an hour for every minute, just in case you didn't know. Literally about an hour per minute.
So the mock video that I created, that I submitted to the committee so that they could see what my idea was, only had 10 individuals.
Mm-hmm.
We've already gotten 35 photos.
Wow.
So I'm like, this video is going from 2 minutes to 5. Or I think I'm going to work with our communications, our comms department, to actually like consolidate people into one frame, like put 4 people per frame and
yeah.
make it pretty. And yeah, so
That's great. That's really great. I love it. I love it.
it's been insane.
Plus, like, it's just good. It's good business, right? It's good business. People are happy. It's a way to connect during this time where we're so disconnected and so disjointed because we don't get to go into the office.
Right.
Not we, because I haven't been in an office in years, and I'm totally fine with that. But it's great. I'm glad.
I don't want to go back to the office, but I miss people, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm comfortable. I'm okay. If I could work from home forever, I would be one happy person.
One happy person. Oh my
I
God,
would.
I love it. All right. Well, let's jump in.
Let's jump right in. We've got I think 3 or 4 things that we need to touch base on.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is I mentioned earlier this week on one of the platforms, probably on our Facebook page, I was talking about nervous energy, and so I wanted to talk about that again today because it's something that happens to me often, and it's only in this year that I've realized that I actually have anxiety, right? Like I don't need medicine for it, but I have anxiety, and it's important to pay attention to these things and not like sweep them under the rug, because you might just call someone dramatic. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes we feel like if you don't get diagnosed for real, then it's not a real thing. But anxiety is real. And so part of one of the way that my anxiety shows itself is in this way that I call nervous energy. And I don't know if there's a official term for this. I did get to have a what I'll call a final session. My last session with my therapist was talking about this right before she went to have her baby. So if she ever sees this, shout out and congratulations for your baby. I'm going to be fine for the next few weeks while you are on maternity leave. But I'm really glad that I got to talk to her for a little about this before she left. So I call it nervous energy. And the way I notice that it's happening is that I get a little bit worked up about what needs to happen, whatever it is. Like I just start thinking, oh, I need to do this and this and this and this. And oh, about this. And your brain just starts going a mile a minute. And then what happens is I start to physically produce that energy by tripping. So, just a couple days ago, I tripped over something. I stubbed my toe. I knocked over something on the table. I was trying to warm up my coffee, and I hit I spilled the coffee just trying to get the coffee into the microwave. I just am jittery. Jittery is probably the right word for it, right? And so when she and I talked, she said that your your body and your body has these like someone called it a lizard brain, right? Like your body just reacts the way it has always been reacting, the way it knows how to react. And what was happening to me that day, as I remember it clearly, is that I did not prepare the night before for it was like a Thursday morning where Lincoln has to go one place, Emery has to go somewhere else. We have a bunch of things to do. And I didn't do a ton of preparation or any preparation. So I woke up in the morning feeling behind from the moment I opened my eyes. And usually that means I start to kind of freak out and I'm just like, ah, right?
Right. Like,
And
what do I do?
right. What do I do first? How do I get this together? Like I can't pull it together. But because I've been working on my anxiety with my therapist, she's taught me some different coping mechanisms to try and like remember that I'm going to be okay. Remember that I have the tools to be able to get through my day the way that I need to. Remember that if I slow down and just pick a thing, we talk about picking a thing and running with it, that I can't make a wrong decision, right? Like I
Right.
can't um folding the clothes is before you load the dishwasher or load the dishwasher before you fold the clothes. Like there's no wrong decision. You just have to pick something and do it and not get stuck with the decision making, right? Or
Right.
the fact that I didn't pack these things ahead of time, I was able to get them packed and I did get them to where they needed to go. And so I was actively telling myself, it's okay, Candice, you don't have to be like, it worked out. You figured it out and it's fine. And so I was able to calm my mind down, but my body was ready, right? It was primed to go through the motions that I usually go through, which is like, ah, right? You just like throw it up
Because
against the
you're
wall.
conditioned to already react that way.
Exactly. And so as we were talking about it, I was like, it feels like my body, as my brain starts to spin, I call it spiraling. As my brain starts to spiral, my body is like, yep, we got this. They start just like put on your shoes, put on your coat, we're ready. Like get your armor together, get
It's
your
happening.
you just get your set, and then my body is ready to come out guns blazing. And then when it's ready, my brain goes, oh no, we're fine now. And then my body is like, what? But I got the guns ready.
But are we really?
Imagery. But that's exactly how I feel. Like my body was ready to go, and my brain was like, "Woosah!" Right? And the two things really just, like bucked up against each other. And
And
so,
sometimes, like, your reaction is far worse than what really the situation is. So,
exactly, because your mind spirals.
right.
So so this kind of thing was happening to me in my like mom world with getting the kids ready for school in the morning and that kind of thing. But this also happens sometimes in my work life, right? In my entrepreneurial life, where
Right.
you have your, especially if you're an entrepreneur, a new business owner, a small business owner, where you have to do all of the things,
Launching like 5 websites and,
launching 5 websites and helping people with stuff, and everybody's asking you questions like, in your work life, sometimes it feels like you have all these deadlines, all these things are happening, all these things you have to do all at one moment, and it's very easy to again get overwhelmed and not and be paralyzed. I think about it as being paralyzed.
I just pick one.
Exactly, you just
I
pick
just pick
one.
one and ignore everybody else. Like I'm like, you're right. I'm working on 4 different projects right now, and everyone thinks that their project is a priority. And I'm like, listen,
Exactly.
I can't treat everything like a priority, otherwise I'm not going to get anything done.
That's not
And
how
so I pick
priorities
one.
work.
Yeah. And so I pick one. And
Yeah.
then people are like, well, you're not answering my emails. That's because I'm busy.
Oh,
You're not the only person I work with.
yeah, yeah.
So,
But really, but really, it's having those conversations with yourself. I think it's really about being able to have that conversation with yourself for yourself, that you can just pick a thing and go with it, and that you can't make a wrong decision as long as you do something, right? The
right.
worst thing is to be paralyzed with inaction and fear, and then you don't do anything, and then really like, but at least if you did one thing, you can go, at least I did that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I was just thinking a lot about that and how that that kind of energy um, comes up in like personal life and my family life, but also in my work life, which is in managing my small business, which managing my entrepreneurial ventures and all the different things. And then also trying to another trigger for my nervous energy is when you see somebody else doing something that is cool and you're like, "Oh, that's cool. I maybe I should be doing that." And I've had
Right.
to say out loud to myself like, that's not for you right now. Okay? You don't know what that person what has led up to them doing that or who else is in their sphere to be able to help them that they're delegating other things to. Like you have no idea what's going on over there.
Right.
And while it seems like a good idea, like it's a good idea for them, it doesn't have to be the next thing that I do right now in order to be like productive. That
And
or
another thing,
good.
like another thing that I always kind of remind myself too is like when you get that to the point where nervous energy is slowing you down because you don't know which way to go first, that can be exhausting. So
Exhausting.
once you get to the point where you're making decisions, okay, I'm going to handle this first, that has to wait till later.
Mhm.
You're already exhausted. You've already gone through all the motions and the emotion and all of the senses that in your body are telling you, well, once this one is done, you need maybe I should take a quick rest. And that quick rest turns into something prolonged.
Mhm.
And so further delaying you. So the idea is to know that the reason why you're exhausted is because you had all these conflicts to begin with, but you just solved one.
Mm.
And I would take the opportunity to say, I'm going to need to now work through my exhaustion and go work on that next one, right? Because the reason why you're in this predicament is because they're all important.
Mhm.
So when you accomplish one, don't just go sit down. You still have work to do.
Right.
But then you tackle it the same way you did the first one. Okay, that
Yeah.
one is done. Now I'm going to focus on this one, even if I still have 20 more projects to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although
Understanding
go
that
ahead.
rest is important.
Yes, I was just going to say do take a minute to acknowledge that you did complete whatever the other thing was.
Right. But don't let that exhaustion of getting you there, that
Yeah.
got you there, take over you and say, okay, I'm going to go watch and binge like, 4 episodes of a show
Right.
instead.
And then end up behind more.
Right.
So one of the things I wanted to share that I learned in therapy. Again, I am not a therapist, but anytime I learn something cool, I do like to share it and tell everybody about it because maybe it will help you. One of the things my therapist said is that if you are feeling this way, like anxious and like if you're used to feeling that way and your body is accustomed to feeling that way, it means that your body has gotten really used to being in this fight or flight motion and you've almost forgotten what it feels like to be calm, right? And you just
Right.
live at this constant fever pitch of like, "Ah," right? Like you just are always there. And so she said, you have to start to teach your body to remember what it
Mm-hmm.
feels like to be calm so that your body can physically get back to that position. Because sometimes you think you've calmed down, but your shoulders are still up by your neck and you're just like, I'm
Right.
calm, I'm calm. I swear I'm calm, right? And so one of the method that I've been practicing and that she showed me how to do was about physically tensing up your body and then releasing it. And that process of tensing the body reminds you, which you're pretty familiar with, of how that feels to be all scrunched up and then to like deep breath through it and really focus on what it feels like to let go of all of that tension. And it sounds really mumbo jumbo. And we talk a lot about witchcraft in my therapy sessions, witchcraft and magic. Um, but it's like it's so real. It's which is why I think it's witchcraft and magic. And so it's a process of like tensing up parts of your body starting from your toes all the way up to your head. So you
Right.
would squeeze your toes, like curl up your toes and tighten them really really tight, and then you take like 5 deep breaths and then you slowly release for 5 deep breaths so that you can feel the release of your toes, right?
That's
Then
why people do yoga.
that's
That's
why
why
people
people
do yoga.
do.
Exactly. Then you do your calves, you do the same thing. You tighten it up, tighten it up, tighten up, and then you slowly release it. And then you tighten up your thighs and your knees and you slowly release. And it's incredible that you're sort of like systematically going through your body from the floor up, right? You go to You do your shoulders, your back, you like it was to tighten up your back backwards. So I guess you push out your chest and scrunch up that way, and then scrunch up your shoulders to your neck. And then the last one you do is to scrunch up your whole body, like as if you were going into the fetal position, and just hold it, hold it, hold it, and then slowly release. And you're forcing yourself to get I call it the feel goods, right? Like you end up getting like the oxytocin release from, letting go of that pain. Your body
Right.
like floods your system with the feel goods. And if you do that in a, she was like set up in a comfortable position, whatever, quiet, away from all of the crazy. But then you go through that for like, 2 or 3 minutes, however long it takes you, and then really try to close your eyes and feel how relaxed your body now feels. And you're starting to train yourself to remember what it feels like to be relaxed, so that
Right.
when you start to feel tense, you can recognize it as like a moment and know that you can fix it. And that has been like incredible for me in managing anxiety through this pandemic and lockdown and all of those things, and like dealing with stuff from years, right? Like I've just been backed up, have just been slowly getting cleaned up through my therapy session. So anyway, I wanted to share that, in case anybody is out there going through this, especially during this time of distance learning, of, everybody stuck in the house,
Mm.
of like fear that numbers are creeping. We thought things were getting better, and it feels like numbers are creeping up again for COVID cases. Is really easy to start to tense up. And I always feel my shoulders rising up to my I'm sorry. I always feel my shoulders rising up to my ears, and you don't even realize that you're kind of like, you're just. And the other thing my therapist talks about, she's like, "Are you okay? Because I see you doing a lot of self-soothing, right? You like are moving around a lot. You're rubbing your own neck. You're like trying to get through this feeling that you don't even
Right.
recognize is happening to you." So it's I'm
That's when you
encouraging.
turn around and be like, listen, Linda, I've got 20,000 things going on at once. I'm
Mhm.
trying.
I'm trying. I'm
I'm
trying.
trying.
And
And that's
and
all you can do.
And it's literally, I mean, Linda is you, right? Linda is me. I've literally said to myself, Candice, like this is what happened the other day. I felt like I was going to fall down the stairs, right? Like I was running so fast, figuratively and I can't even speak. In my mind, I was running so fast. And then literally physically, I was moving so fast that I really thought I was going to fall down the stairs. And I legit stood still and held on to the banister. And I was like, there's time, right? Like, Candice, slow down. You can't do
Right.
anything if you break your neck at the bottom of the stairs. Like,
For real. And that's a
nothing
very
gets
steep
done.
set of stairs.
Exactly. So take time to pay attention to your body and give yourself the grace and the space to take care of yourself, because there's only one you, and nothing gets done if you are a mess.
Amen to that.
That's my whole thing for the day. As I
Shake it off.
shaking it off my own stuff. So I know that you wanted to give, it is voting season, censor season. I think it's a really good idea for us to keep reminding people. So I'm gonna toss it to you. We're gonna talk about voting because that's up first. Oh, actually, no. Wait, actually, census is up first. I heard that the census deadline was moved up to October 30th.
So, yeah, because then they have to present that data. So we need to make sure that we get it done as soon as possible. Census. So it is important. We talked about this in last week's episode. We talked about the importance of making sure that everyone, regardless of your status of citizenship, etc., be counted. Because the most important part of the census is, first and foremost, how districts are drawn and what resources get allocated to those districts for support, for schools, for programs, for school lunches. All of that is determined by the size of the population in the area. And so if the census is not accurate, you may be putting at risk some of the help and some of the the resources that your area could get as a result of having a correct and accurate count. So it's not that, the government or whatever you call him, Uncle Sam, wants to like spy on you or wants to know all about you. It's something that we've done since the inception of this nation. It's always been how they've redrawn, or redistricted areas for voting. It determines how much representation you have in Congress. And how those laws may affect you, and the support that you could get for those endeavors. So there's a lot of really important reasons why we should do the census. And so once again, on the Breezy Moms podcast, we are reminding you the importance of making sure that you do it. It's very effortless. You can go right online and do it. It's painless.
2020census.gov.
Right. And if you don't, you will have someone come to the door.
Yeah.
They will hound you for that data because they want to make sure it's accurate. So that's important. And Candice, unless you want to add anything else.
No, let's move on to the so we talked about it a lot last week. So I just want to make sure we hit it.
Right.
I don't have anything to add. So let's talk about voting.
So depending on where you're at, it might be a little different for you as far as mail-in voting and what you need to do to ensure that you plan, right? Have a plan, know what your state needs and what you should be doing, and do it. So that being said, in the state of Connecticut, they mailed out a application for a or absentee ballot due to COVID. So everyone who's registered to vote will get a letter in the mail with a prepaid envelope for you to sign the application if you are planning to vote by mail for COVID-19. You can mail that back. And the most important thing that you need to remember is that once you do and they receive it, they will mail you the ballot to your house. Now, ballots for a general election typically go out 31 days before the actual election date. Our election is on November 3rd, which means that ballots should start going out to households of those who filled out this application the week of October 27th. Some places are actually doing it sooner. I know of a couple of Connecticut towns that are doing it. So they're going to start mailing the ballots out October 3rd. So you may get it sooner. But if you have not received it by that week of the 27th of October, really make sure that you call and find out why.
Okay.
Once you receive your ballot, it is important to follow the directions on the ballot, fill it out correctly, and then mail it back using 2 postage stamps. 1 postage stamp is not enough for that ballot. You need 2. And mail it back as soon as possible. I would say immediately. Give yourself at least 3 weeks for that ballot to arrive where it needs to go. If you are concerned as a result of what's been happening or what the media has been reporting with what's going on with the mail situation and our post office, you can take your ballot to the ballot box located either at your town hall or your local officials will list and tell you where these ballot boxes are. And so you can deliver them and they will be counted. Now, the most important thing is that only completed absentee ballots received before the closing of polls on the day of election will be counted. So if you plan to mail it in and now it is 2 days before election, your ballot may not get there in time. Bring it to town hall.
Okay.
Or drop it off at the poll the day of the election.
Awesome. I like it. So the key takeaways from there are it's a 2-step or 3-step process. Everyone in Connecticut, at least in Connecticut, is going to receive an absentee ballot request form. That's
right.
That's not the voting form. That's just the request for the ballot.
Correct.
Then if you fill that out, then you will receive the ballot. And then you need to figure out where and how and when to send back the ballot. Send it back or drop it back in person.
And if you need any additional information, I'll get you the website right now. CT, you go to ct.gov And oh Lord, this thing takes forever. You can go to ct.gov and then you can do /SOTS/election services. And you'll get all the information that you need regarding who's eligible to vote, how you can vote, how you can request an absentee ballot. The actual application is there. You can print it, fill it out yourself, and mail it in. So you don't have to wait for that one to come in for you. But the good thing about the one they sent is that your name is already pre-typed and your address is there. So all you have to do is select COVID-19 as your reason you're asking for the absentee ballot, sign it, put it in the envelope, and send it back.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything that we set out to cover today.
We did.
I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. I hope that you guys have a great week, rest of your week and weekend. Drink your water. I've been feeling pretty dehydrated lately. I've been basically drinking coffee too much. So drink your water. What else? What else should we be doing? Vote. Fill out the
Right.
census.
Voting is important.
Mind your business.
That's important too. Also, and as a hashtag mom so hard tip, even though I'm not the mom.
Oh, but you got
but I listen, I sit with one every week and we talk about very important things that relate to all of you. So listen up.
I'm listening.
We're moving into fall.
Mm-hmm.
Daylight savings time is coming up in November. I believe it is the first weekend in November that we roll back, we fall back, and it's time to start thinking about your plan. If you have fire alarms in the house, time to change those batteries, start looking, shopping around for specials, make sure you get decent batteries, and don't forget to replace your batteries. You can start doing that right now, but typically just make sure that annually you're making sure that you do it at least by the time we fall back. It's a really good...
It's just a good mental marker.
Right.
It's great. I love it. So get ready to check on all your life-saving plans.
That's
my
right.
bin is still good, and my pandemic apocalypse bin is still pretty good in the basement. But we probably do need to replace the alarm. So
seriously,
we will get on that.
Right. And just think about some of these alarms may have expiration dates. The average fire alarm or carbon monoxide detector should not be used for more than 10 years.
Right.
So if you
there's
do,
usually a date on there's usually a thing.
Right.
Usually a thing on it. One of the things I like to do on some of those things is to just use a Sharpie marker, and write the date in case the sticker falls off or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is a good time to be looking at all your stuff, especially because everybody's in the house.
Right.
Want to be safe. I actually just told Lincoln as we were getting ready for to settle down tonight. I was asking him to put all the shoes. All the shoes were just like tossed we have a shoe thing by the front door, but nothing was in the shoe thing. It was all just tossed. And I was like, dude, we're just trying to make it so that if we have to dart out of here in the middle of the night, we're not going to trip and break our necks before we can even get out of the house. Because you're like,
and you have shoes on the nice little rack that we bought so that you can put on and you don't have to worry about being cold.
We know where they are. Although sometimes I think it's nice to leave a little bit of chaos on the floors. If anybody ever breaks into my house, we will hear them break their neck. They will like twist an ankle on a dinosaur or trip over a pair of shoes at least 3 times, giving us enough time to run out of a window. So
Home Alone style.
Exactly.
Here comes the paint cans. Woo!
Exactly. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next time.
Absolutely.
All right? Bye.
Bye-bye.
Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.